UFC 241. I'm going to give you guys a moment to get into the chat room, and I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts. As usual, let's start with a thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up if you hear me loud and clear. As you all know, I cannot be trusted with the sound. XX, what's up from Germany? Hello, Germany. Welcome, Germany, to today's episode. Please, guys, give me a thumbs up when you have a clear sound, loud and clear, please. We got a thumbs up from Emilio. Thank you, Emilio. I'm wondering if that's for the sound check. Yes, it is. I see David Jenkins, Christopher Johnson. Thank you very much. Thumbs up all the way. Okay. All right, guys, let's get started. I'm going to give you guys my initial thoughts as you guys get into the chat room. And what a UFC, one of the best cards of the year. Tremendous fights, really tremendous fights. I want to first go over the Romero Paulo Costa fight. I believe that the judges got it right. I thought it was a very, very close fight. I know a lot of people were booing after the fight. The arena was full of boos. However, I think that's just because it was such a seesaw battle. And if it was a draw, I think everybody would have been happy with it. If Yoel got it, I think there would have been boos as well. I think people felt it was a 50-50 fight. At least I thought it was so close. It was very, very hard to call. However, if I put my judge's hat on and I count the fight as a judge, not as a fan, I would say that Paulo Costa won the first 2 rounds and lost the third. I felt that he lost the third. He faded in the third. However, I felt he was the more dominant of the two in the first round. In the first round, they both knocked each other down. It was a tremendous round. As we expected, everybody expected this fight to be a dynamite fight, explosive fight. Somebody was going to go down. Somebody was going to get hurt. Lo and behold, in round 1, Paulo Costa drops Yoel Romero with a short left hook. Yoel bounces back up to his feet and drops Costa maybe a second and a half later or 2 seconds later. He drops Paulo Costa to the ground. And Paulo Costa just bounces back up to his feet, and the action keeps going like almost nothing happened, like they didn't get hit almost. Yes, they were both a little bit worn out from the strike, but they were still in it. And it seemed like the fight could end at any second, and it went all the way to regulation. An incredible fight. If you haven't seen that fight, you must watch that fight. It's a classic fight. It's going to be remembered for a very long time. Immensely packed with action from bell to bell, from the beginning to the end. An incredible fight. Now, round 2 was a bit tricky to call. I think we all agree. I think we will all agree Paulo Costa won round 1. Yoel kind of coasted a little bit more than he did in the other rounds. Round 1, I felt like Yoel kind of coasted. Whether he was feeling Paulo Costa out or whether he was reserving his energy for the next few rounds. Whatever it may be, I felt like he kind of coasted, and Paulo Costa kept working. He kept working, kept increasing the pace, kept increasing the output, and I felt he won round 1. I don't think anybody will debate that point. I think everybody's going to accept that Paulo Costa won round 1. Now, round 3, I think we can all agree that Yoel Romero won round 3. He outworked Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa was bloodied up. He seemed to be fading. He seemed to be he wasn't as busy. I didn't look at the statistics, but I'd be very confident to say that Yoel outstruck him in round 3, both statistically, and he landed the more effective shots, in my opinion. Round 2 was really, really close. Round 2 was the round in question that could have went either way. Now, I gave it to Paulo Costa, and I'll tell you why. I felt Paulo Costa was dominating the early part of the round, and then as the round went on, it started to become very, very close. I still gave Paulo Costa the lead because he had dominated the first 2 minutes. The last 2 minutes were more up for grabs. Now, at the final bell, the last few seconds of round 2, Yoel scores a takedown. He scores a double leg and gets Paulo Costa finally on his back. For me, I didn't feel that takedown could steal the round because Paulo Costa was more active. He landed the more effective strikes. And I felt that takedown, that double leg, was a very defensive, strategic double leg to try to win the round. Okay, it wasn't a double leg where I'm going to take you down and beat you up. I'm going to take you down and pass your guard. I'm going to take you down and dominate you. He was kind of playing the points. And for me, that doesn't really work, because if you do a takedown, it's because I feel you need to progress on the ground. So if, let's say, for instance, you're getting punched in the face and you do a takedown because you can't handle the stand-up. You just can't handle the stand-up. And you bring your opponent down to the ground. If you just hold them there, you're just holding there. For me, you're losing, because you're losing the stand-up, and now on the ground, you're not able to pass, you're not able to dominate, so you're just holding for dear life, and you're trying to drain the clock. I'm not saying that's what Yo was doing. I'm just giving you guys a for instance of how I look at fights. You see that sometimes the guy can't handle the stand-up, then he takes the guy down. He can't handle the guy's ground game, so all he's going to do is kind of like, he's going to stall, what we call stalling. Now, if you look at the Olympic sports, in boxing, wrestling, judo, they're very familiar with stalling rules. Like in judo, for instance, if you grab the gi and you kind of like make your arms straight and you kind of back up and you're not wrestling, they're going to call a stalling rule on you. They're going to call stalling on you immediately. If you go in freestyle wrestling and you're kind of pushing your opponent away and running away, they're going to call stalling immediately. You're going to get kicked off the mat quick. You have to engage your opponent. We're all here waiting to see a fight between you two. We're not waiting to see you dance around until regulation is over. So with that stalling concept in mind, when I saw Yoel do that takedown, it wasn't a takedown I felt that was going to get his offense going. It was just a takedown to try to play the rules. It wasn't an offensive takedown where I'm going to take you down and I'm going to do something with it. It wasn't one of those. I didn't feel it was. I felt that he was trailing behind on the striking, and that takedown was just to impress the judges. It wasn't anything. He wasn't developing an offense behind it. And to keep it really simple, look, at the end of the day, yes, he took him down, but he didn't slam him. He didn't injure Paulo Costa, and the takedown amounted to nothing. I feel like when you land in the guard, it's a kind of neutral position. I'll give an advantage to the man on top for sure, but it's not that advantageous. It's not that advantageous, I should say. It's not like he landed in mount or on the guy's back. Sometimes you can take somebody down, land straight on their back, or you can land in side control, or you can land in a position that's very dominant where you can strike. It wasn't like that. He landed in his guard. It was a soft landing. For me, it wasn't that much of an offensive maneuver. It didn't negate what Paulo Costa did in the first 2 minutes. And yes, the later 2 minutes were closer. I do agree. But the first 2 minutes, in my opinion, were more dominant by Paulo Costa. Really, absolutely love that fight. That is the first fight I want to put up there. And we're going to talk about the other two fights that we had analyzed before. We had analyzed Diaz versus Pettis as well. And we analyzed Cormier versus Miocic. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly this time. Miocic. Hopefully I'm getting it right. Two great battles for us to talk about. Amazing fights. Now, before we get to that, let's stay on Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero. Those are my initial thoughts. I thought it was a great battle. Lived up to the hype. And I felt like Paulo Costa won the first 2 rounds. I thought he lost the third. We learned so much about Paulo Costa. He's been so dominant in the past. It was great to see him have some adversity, and we can learn more about his game. I still have a lot of questions about his game. We haven't seen him on the ground very much. You know, we saw him on the ground with Yoel very, very briefly. We didn't see much action there. I look forward to seeing him in future battles on the ground, whether he's on top or on the bottom. I'm just curious to see what his grappling skills are like. What else we got? What about Kama Worthy? Biggest upset of the year. Kama Worthy. Yes, that was. I did see that battle. Yes, Kama Worthy landed a KO. He was a last-minute replacement. Congratulations to him. Amazing KO. He was fighting Devontae. Devontae is a highly touted newcomer to the scene. KO artist in his own right, but he got beat by Kama Worthy. Tremendous performance. I believe it was a right hand. No, I believe it was a left hook. I think Devontae threw a right hand and Worthy threw a left hook, if I'm remembering correctly. Landed right on the button, KO'd his opponent. And very impressive performance. But guys, we're not talking about those fights. We are talking about Paulo Costa versus Yoel Romero. This fight was too good for us not to examine. And we're not going to gloss over it. Let's focus on Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa. I'm taking your comments and questions on that. And we're going to discuss it for a little bit. How do you think Romero is still in top shape at the age of 41? That's Yunus El Uakili. Okay, well, I know a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, he's on steroids or whatnot. And, you know, I'm putting that on the side. Okay, we don't have any proof of that. Yes, he did test positive, but later on they found that the supplements he was taking were contaminated for whatever he tested positive for. I'm not familiar with all the details. So I'm not going to go into that. For those of you who are familiar with it or not familiar with it, if you're interested in it, look it up. I personally haven't read into it too much. I think the man, number one, is genetically gifted. He's predisposed for athleticism, for being athletic. And two, he's been doing sports his entire life. When you train, I've met other type of Yoel Romeros. Okay, maybe not to that extent, but I've seen men in their 50s, and they're incredible specimens. I just had one of my pros actually just turned 50 last Saturday. Happy birthday to Nabil Khatib, my dear friend, a professional fighter, a long-time professional fighter. He doesn't look 50. He looks like he's in his 20s, physically. He's in his 20s still. Listen, guys, fitness and eating right, daily fitness and eating right, getting old is not for you. Getting old is for people who are sedentary and eat processed foods. I got students tell me, I'm turning 30, and they think 30 is a big deal. 30 is nothing. 30 is so young. If you're an athlete, if you're eating sensibly, I'm not talking about 3 times a week, 45-minute sessions in the gym. I don't think that's enough for fitness. I think that's enough for maintenance. I don't think that's fitness. Fitness is I train every single day. I do anaerobic workouts. I do aerobic workouts. I do low impact plyometrics. I play a sport. I sweat every single day. My body's going to keep rejuvenating itself. Yoel Romero is an incredible specimen, but he's not the only one. There are many men in their 40s who are in phenomenal shape. George St. Pierre is nearing 40. I mean, he's in phenomenal shape. We wrestle in the gym. He's there all the time. He's in tip-top shape. I don't think of him as getting older. Honestly, when I look at him in practice, he's just as good, or actually he's better than he used to be in his 20s. I saw him in his 20s. I saw him in his 30s. Now he's going to hit his 40s. I feel he's better now than he was before. Why? He had more time to master the skills. The fitness, the cardio, it's all there. It's still all there. The strength is still all there. The timing, the reaction. I think that people just don't understand the power of daily exercise. I've trained with Phil Nurse in New York. He's well into his 50s now. That guy is a killer. Like Phil Nurse. If you ever in New York, go visit the Wat. If you're ever in Manhattan, check out the Wat, the Muay Thai club, and you'll see him, man. He spars with his students. He does it. The guy's in phenomenal shape. He could do 5-minute rounds, no problem with anybody. Literally with anybody. Okay, and I'm not surprised when I see a 40-year-old in supreme shape like that. If they've been doing athletics, if they've been in athletics their entire life. For those of you who don't know, Cuba is heavily propelled into athletics, okay? Like boxing, wrestling, judo. Cubans, baseball, of course. They love their sports. They're incredible athletes, and they love their sports. So it's not surprising whatsoever. If you're not a fit person, if you do not have an athletic background, get into it. Learn all about training, fitness, and do it. Do it every day. Doing it every day is not too much. It's not overkill. Okay, train smart. Train every day. With that said, I want to remind you guys the new Tim Tam Power Massager is out. This is the all new with heat infusion, the world's best, most quietest, most powerful, and only heat infusion gun in the world. This is the new Tim Tam Pro, the Pro, and of course we have the all new. The all news it's the cheaper version. It's super powerful as well. It's also super quiet. It's half the price for those of you who wanna buy the economy version. But for those of you who are like me and are super serious about training, this is the one you want to have. Okay, if you're a professional athlete, especially, or if you're just a serious athlete, get this one. This one is light years ahead. Because of the heat. The heat makes a huge difference, a monstrously huge difference in recovery and for loosening up knots and keeping your body healthy. With that said, that's my answer to you. Yoel is just a supreme athlete, and supreme athletes don't get old. I think people get old in their 60s. Even then, I'm not sure. I've seen guys wrestle in their 60s. I've seen them. One of my first wrestling coaches was in his 60s, and he used to still get on the mat with us, and he used to crush guys. So if you compare him to an average Joe, for sure. You know, a 40-year-old average Joe is old, but not Yo. No way. I mean, he's an athlete. Okay, guys, what else we got here? Coach, do you think Paulo Costa is juiced up? That's from Miguel Arujo. I believe he's also been flagged. I know you guys are going to be like, hey, Coach, what's your excuse this time? Guys, I'm not an expert in these things. I've never taken steroids in my life. I've never given any steroids to anybody ever. I've never told anybody to do it. I've never touched the stuff. I'm very ignorant about the subject. Okay, I don't know much about it. Like I hear things in the gym, but that's bro science, bro talk. How much can I take? How much weight can I put on that? I don't know much about that. I really don't know. What I like to do is I like to see them. Hey, what does their physique look like? A few years ago. If there's a dramatic change as a trainer, I could tell you that it takes a long time to go from looking like a regular Joe and then getting jacked, totally jacked. It takes a long time, and you're not gonna do it by doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and boxing. That's way too aerobic. Okay, to build a lot of muscle, to get really like bodybuilder physique, in my opinion, you need to do like a bodybuilder program. If you're doing something like soccer or I should say football, you can do it because football it's explode. Average play is like 3-4 seconds, and then you have about a minute break. That's a different sport. Let's put that to the side. But sports like wrestling and jiu-jitsu and boxing are not going to make you put on 20 pounds of muscle. Okay, let's say you've been trained, you're a seasoned athlete. I'm not going to add 20 pounds of muscle all of a sudden. If I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 10 years and then all of a sudden I add 20 pounds of muscle, something is fishy, in my opinion. Something is fishy, very fishy. I don't know Paulo Costa's history. Maybe go back 5 years. Find pictures of him 5 years ago. Did he look like an average Joe? He was already doing MMA. He's already been, his body's used to the process of training. He's already adapted to MMA, and all of a sudden he does this monstrous jump of 20 pounds of muscle. He gets ripped all of a sudden. And he claims he's eating horse meat or something like that, or he claims like some kind of gimmicky, a reason why he's so fit now. It's a lie. He's taking steroids probably. I had one athlete once upon a time. I won't mention his name, but he was telling me, look, we're talking about his career, and I was like, you made a huge jump in this short period. You were kind of like, you were here, and all of a sudden in your career you went here, boom. And that was such a small window. And he was like, I started doing this practice. Like he was talking to me about some kind of practice. I don't want to say what it was because it's kind of like, you guys might identify him. Let's say he was saying, I started doing yoga. Yeah, I started adding 45 minutes a day of yoga. And I know as a trainer, 45 minutes a day of yoga doesn't take you from, let's call it 10% body fat to 5% body fat and add 10 pounds of muscle. Okay, it doesn't do that. To lose fat and to gain muscle is very difficult because you're either losing fat and losing muscle. You're going through a cutting phase, and then also later on you're gonna go through a bulking phase. You're gonna add muscle, add a little bit of fat. It's natural because to gain muscle you need a surplus of calories. To lose fat you need a deficit of calories, a slight deficit. So how could you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time? That would mean you have a surplus and a deficit of calories at the same time. Now there are ways. It's not the topic today. One day we'll talk about it. It's actually a very important topic. We should talk about that. I do believe that most people in the fitness world they cut. They cut too much. They forget to go through a bulking phase. But anyways, long story short, instead of him saying, he went through a bulking phase, then a cutting phase, and that's why today I look different. He's like, no, I started doing this. This thing has nothing to do with adding muscle and losing fat. It has nothing. But all of a sudden, you've gained muscle, you've lost fat in a blink of an eye. And for those of you who know, gaining 1 pound of muscle a week is tremendous. So you need 10 weeks to add 10 pounds of muscle. Now, how are you going to lose 10 pounds of fat and gain 10 pounds of muscle at the same time? That would be something tremendous. Like if you can do that, you're the world's greatest trainer. So as a natural trainer, as a person who's trained countless natural fighters and athletes, I can tell you that that's something we don't know about. There's no book, that there's no study that shows this. There's no study out there that shows how to do this. That's why I start thinking there's got to be another factor that I'm not aware of. So is Paulo Costa on steroids? I have no idea. I know he's been flagged for what? I don't know. And I would look at his older pictures of him as an athlete. Guys, we are still on Paulo Costa, talking about Paulo Costa and Yoel Romero. Pardon me, guys. Okay, what else we got here? What weaknesses do you see in Paulo Costa? That's from Crew Ege. I would say, look, we haven't seen his ground game yet. His stand-up is really, really good. Needless to say. His power, obviously, nobody's going to argue that it's good. It's good. It's not good. Okay? Everybody knows it's through the roof good. Perfect. His chin, his pressure, his footwork, everything is good. His ability to cut off the octagon, his intelligence is great. However, I felt that in round 3, he faded. In round 3, against Yoel, I felt he faded. I felt Yoel fought strategically very intelligently. I was wondering, are these two guys going to go head to head, or is one of them going to be the bull and one of them going to be the matador? That's what I wanted to see. And we saw Yoel be the matador. He's more experienced, he's older, he's got more fights. I think it was very smart of him. However, you're asking me about Paulo Costa's weaknesses. I would say strategically he didn't adapt to Yoel, and secondly, I felt he faded. Could you imagine if he was in a 5-round fight with Adesanya or Whitaker? Round 4 and 5 would have been crucial. Because let's say he were to win the first 2 rounds. He's very strong in the first 2 rounds. Like I think Paulo Costa at this point right now in his career, he can beat anybody in the first 2 rounds. I mean, when I say beat, I mean he could finish anybody in the first 2 rounds. If they get out of that first 2 rounds, it seems like Paulo Costa is going to be in uncharted territories. Don't forget, he's finished all his opponents, every one of them, up until Yoel Romero. Now he's reaching this level of fighter in the top 5 here. We're talking about Yoel, Whitaker, Adesanya. These guys aren't necessarily going to be easy to put away in the first 2 rounds. There's going to be a round 3 and very possibly be a round 4 and 5. And it didn't seem like he could finish in round 3. And I'm assuming round 4 is going to look worse, and round 5 might even be worse than that. So in deep waters, it seems like there's a little kink in the armor. We'll have to wait and see. I think eventually he will be in the ring with the octagon with one of those two, Adesanya or Whitaker. It seems like a matter of time. And if he gets into deep waters, hopefully for him, he'll have made adjustments. Because if not, Whitaker and Adesanya seem to finish really strong in rounds 4 and 5. Usually, if you look at their fights, they're very good in the later rounds. They're good in deep waters. Whereas Costa seems like he's inexperienced still. Coach, Costa versus Izzy, how do you see the matchup? That's from Ali. Ali, I would say, look, I would say Adesanya at this point. Adesanya to me seems more difficult to hit, and I feel that Adesanya will get out of rounds 1 and 2. He'll survive rounds 1 and 2. Whether he wins them or not is irrelevant, because I feel that Adesanya's pressure and style will, at this point right now, would be too much for Costa in deep waters, because we saw Costa get in trouble with Yoel Romero in round 3. And Yoel Romero is not known for being super strong in the later rounds. He's known for being super strong in the earlier rounds. Now, we all saw Yoel, what he did against Whitaker. That one fight where he waited for 2 rounds and almost did nothing, and then finished really, really strong in the last 2. We saw Yoel finish really, really strong in the last 2. So I understand there's that exception. But still, he had about 2.5 rounds of fight in him. We saw Yoel, whether he fights early on or later on, he seems to have 2.5 rounds of really hard fighting in him. He doesn't have 3 hard rounds of fighting in him. He doesn't have 4 hard rounds of fighting in him. We haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen 4 hard rounds of fighting from Yoel Romero. However, we've seen that from Whitaker again and again, and we've seen that from Adesanya, no doubt. Okay, with his fight with Gastelum, he showed he could fight hard for 5 rounds. Now, Paulo Costa fought hard for 2, and it seemed that he didn't have a 3rd hard round in him. Yoel seemed to have a little bit more stamina and durability. So, in my opinion, if he fights Adesanya, that's going to be a problem in the future rounds, and in the later rounds. The first 2 rounds, he could beat anybody, Paulo. So, I'm not counting him out as becoming champion ever. I'm just saying that in the later rounds, it seems at this point in his career, these are things that can be corrected, absolutely. It just seems like he's going to have some issues. Yoel got 6 third-round KOs. That's from Sasha Kramer. Absolutely. Yoel can KO anybody in a 3-rounder at any point. I agree with you. All I'm saying is You see how he manages his energy during the fight. He seems to have 2.5 rounds of hard fight in him. Like, for instance, when he fought Paulo Costa, he did a lot of dancing around. And that dancing around was just to manage his energy, slow down the pace of the fight. You know, at one point he was up against the cage and he wasn't fighting back. He was just kind of defending. We saw him do it with Whitaker, where he did almost nothing, literally almost nothing in round 1. That was a strategic game. Now, ask yourself, Ali, why would you fight like that? Why would you fight like that? Because in your heart of hearts, you know that, look, I have this much fight in me and the fight is this long. I got to pick and choose when I trade. The man is very gifted genetically. In some ways, he's very explosive. We haven't seen anybody like as explosive as Yoel. I mean, we have seen other guys who are very explosive, but I think Yoel is probably the most explosive. And that comes at a cost. You know, fast twitch muscle fibers, by their very nature, they're faster, but they also carry less oxygen, and therefore have less endurance. Okay. He manages his gas tank. You can tell when he's fighting, he's managing his gas tank. He's managing it, and he's managing very, very effectively. Smart. You know, he's being very smart about it. However, you see he has a limited reserve. Whereas, for instance, if you see GSP, it's almost like he has no limit. Yes, he does manage it, but not that strictly. He has he's less reserved. Okay, he spends more energy because he knows, look, I got more, and between rounds I'm gonna recover. Doesn't seem like that with Yoel. Okay. Sad day when Yoel retires. That's from Brian Blaze. Well, that doesn't seem anytime soon. I don't think he's going away anytime soon. Coach, do you think Romero fakes being fatigued in rounds? That's from Ruben. No, I don't know. Why would you do that? You know, because that doesn't impress the judges. You know, if you're there huffing and puffing and you're looking worn out, the judges are saying, hey, that guy's putting it on him. I don't think you would fake that. Honestly, like, it's my opinion, a bad strategy, because the judges are going to be like, look, you look like you're getting killed here. Excuse me, guys. My phone just won't stop blowing up here. All right, guys. Yeah, like I was saying, I don't think that's a good strategy. I don't think it's fake. I don't think it impresses the judges. I mean, what would be the benefit of that? Am I missing something here? I don't see any benefit. Do you think Romero can be champ? That's from Joe Javarsky. Yes, absolutely, he can be champ. Absolutely. I mean, he's neck and neck with all the top guys. It's just that's they're all so good. I mean, there's not much differential between the two. Look, if Yoel got the nod on Saturday, I wouldn't have been upset. That fight was so close. If the fight was a draw, I would not have been upset. I wouldn't have been like, this is a robbery. The fight was that close. It came down to round 2. And I feel it comes down to, how do you interpret what is more dominant? It comes down to interpretation. There's no way. Look, there was no loser in that fight. You know, that's one of those fights where there was no loser. They have to give a nod to someone, and they gave it to Costa. But I don't feel like Yoel got beat up. I don't feel like Yoel lost that fight. I don't feel like Yoel is a lesser fighter than Costa at all. There is no loser in that fight, guys. That fight, there happens to be a winner, but there was no loser. There happens to be a winner because that's the way the game is played, and we need to have future matchups. And they chose to push Costa forward. The judges thought he did a little bit more. But if you had those guys fight 10 times, it wouldn't be 10 out of 10 for Costa. Yoel is going to walk away with some wins, probably 5 of them. It's just such a close fight. Those guys are of equal level, equal skill, equal level. Those two fighters are the same. So, yes, of course, Yoel has a chance to be a world champion. Absolutely. You never know how things are gonna go. Romero didn't get robbed. I think it was a draw, if anything. That's from Felipe Zurke. I agree. It wasn't a rob. There was no rob. There was no decision that was going to bother me. You know, I agree with you. They just have to pick a winner. That's just the way it is. They can't make those two guys fight again. It would be, you know, things, the division wouldn't develop. You know, it would be on pause. That's just the way that it is. Yoel Romero did an incredible fight. There's no loser in that fight. There was no loser. The fans were happy. The fighters are happy. The UFC is happy. Everybody's happy with that fight, except there's a technicality. We have to give a win to somebody, but those guys, there was no loser in that fight. Those were two brilliant fighters. There was nobody who did anything to hang their head about. It was an epic fight to be remembered. And the fact that they say Paulo Costa's name at the end of the fight instead of Yoel's, for me, that's a technicality. That fight it is what it is. Two great guys, and they ran out of time. We'll never know who would have won. We never know if that fight was a no time limit fight. Like fight should be no time limit. That's what Vale Tudo is about. The old school Vale Tudo guys. No time limit. That's how you're gonna know who's the better fighter. Well, we'll never know. What do you think about the finger pointing Romero did? Oh, it skipped on me. I hate it when it does that. I'm not sure what finger pointing was he doing. Oh, I think yes. At one point he was kind of pointing, and then he kind of threw a punch. Did he do that? I can't remember. I remember he did something kind of weird where he was kind of like pointing at something. I'm not sure what the pointing was about. Was he kind of like just kind of like to kind of mess around with Paulo Costa, kind of trick him around, like break his attention? I don't know what it was. I'd have to rewatch that actually. I do remember a time where he was kind of pointing. I have no idea what that was about. Maybe there was debris in the octagon. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what he was pointing to. Okay, guys, real quick, I forgot to mention in the last episode as well. There's a promo code Tristar. Promo code Tristar. If you want to get one of these bad boys, it's 10% off. 10% off this device. Promo code is Tristar. Check it out. Okay, make sure you get your promo code. Oop. Promo code Tristar. It's on the top side of your screen here. It's right here. Special thank you to Gym Kings and jujiclub.com. Check out my instructional. I always forget to mention the sponsors. My apologies. timtam.tech. Monster Energy Drink. Thank you for sponsoring this channel. Promo code for timtam.tech. It's on this side. The promo code is Tristar. You get 10% off. Go for it and enjoy. Okay, guys, I think that's enough for Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa. Epic fight. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. You're not going to be disappointed. The fight is amazing from beginning to end. Next fight, Diaz versus Pettis. What a fight. Amazing fight. Now, look, I felt before this fight, I felt that Pettis, I do believe that both these guys could win, obviously. But I had given a slight edge to Pettis. Excuse me, pardon me. I had given a slight edge to Pettis, and I'll tell you why. If you watch the first round, Pettis looked like he was going to run away with it. He caught Diaz with a good right hand. Diaz didn't seem like he can breach the distance. Pettis at one point was kind of like doing a breakdancing move. Like his footwork was really on point. Everything was going okay until the first takedown. And I think we were all surprised when Diaz did a wrestling maneuver called running the pipe. He did a chest pressure. I think we were all surprised. Why? Well, if you see it, round one, Pettis was doing well. It was still even. I'm not saying he was winning, blowing out of the water, but that's what we expected. We expected it to be close, and Pettis kind of like setting up a head kick, setting up a low kick, setting up a body kick, and it was just a matter of time before he connects a nice shot. But he throws a right kick, right punch, and when he threw that right kick, Diaz grabbed onto the leg. Now, Diaz has never done this maneuver in his entire career. Diaz does have takedowns in the UFC. He does, but he's always upper body takedowns. Like he's done a foot sweep, he's done a uchimata in his career. He's done like a body lock, a kosotogaki kind of suplex. Like kind of body locking the guy and bringing him down. He's done these takedowns, but he's never shot the legs. He's never shot the legs successfully in his career. He grabs a hold of Pettis' legs, changes level, grabs a hold of his leg, rips it down, runs the pipe, cracks him down, brings him down to the mat, and secures the waist and gets on top of him. Amazing improvement by Nathan Diaz. I have to say, Nathan Diaz took 3 years off. He looks better than ever. He came to the fight with new tools. We always knew his ground game was really good. No doubt about it. However, I think we all learned something. At least I did. It's much better than Pettis's by far. That's where I felt he won the fight. He won the fight in round one when he broke Pettis down to the ground. He ran the pipe, and then Pettis went for that guillotine. He got out. Diaz escaped the guillotines, passed his guard, rolled him over from guard. So Pettis was had his hips up in the air. Diaz bumped him, rolled him to guard, took his back, and I felt that Diaz was working on cruise control. You know, he's so slick on the ground, and Pettis was working hard. And I felt like Pettis got himself tired. Because when your skills are a little bit less than the guy you're fighting, you have to work harder. You have to spend more energy not to fall behind. Whereas Diaz was making all the right adjustments, and Pettis was muscling his way into the grappling. He had to muscle his way because he couldn't keep up with the Diaz adjustments. And I felt that that's where his reserves dipped. Like you saw in round 2, they got back to their feet. Okay, he survived the bell. Clear win for Diaz. Clear win. I don't think anybody's debating this. Clear win for Diaz round 1. However, if you watch just the first 3 minutes, Pettis is looking good. It looks, it's pretty even, but we know like Pettis is going to land that big strike. We know that Diaz needs volume. So if it's pretty even, we know it's a matter of time. We know that before Pettis sneaks in that shot that steals the round. Okay? He gets taken down, and the ground game was just too much for him. And then in round 2, Pettis comes out, throws a kick, and hurts his leg really badly. He throws a kick and falls to the ground. He kind of like sits, he kind of sat down. Why did he sit down? Because he couldn't put weight on that leg. That tells you that leg is really badly injured. From what I heard he broke his foot. I don't have a confirmation on that. But somebody in the gym yesterday was telling me, oh yeah, I heard he broke his foot. They read that he broke his foot. And I was like, it doesn't surprise me. It happens sometimes when you kick. When you kick, you could break your own foot. The kicker can break his own foot. When you want to put your foot back down on the mat, but you can't because you're in too much pain and you're forced to sit down on your butt, that's bad news for a kicker. And then Diaz pounced on him, got him up against the fence, and then there was that Kimura sequence where Pettis later, he grabbed the Kimura and kind of sat down with the Kimura. In my opinion, a major mistake. A major, major mistake. He should have stayed standing. I don't personally think he would get taken down with an upper body takedown. It would be hard to take Pettis down with upper body takedown. And Pettis kind of took himself down with that Kimura attempt. That Kimura attempt, look, when I grab a Kimura and I sit like that, my jiu-jitsu better be way better than yours because the counters to the Kimura are just as strong as the attacks of the Kimura. It comes down to who has the better jiu-jitsu. People tell me, hey, should I grab the Kimura and sit? Dude, is your jiu-jitsu better than the guy you're fighting? Like if you're fighting a striker and you have a Kimura on him, let's say if so happens you're body locking with a striker and you grab a Kimura on him. Sit because your jiu-jitsu is better than his. Let's see if he knows the counters. He won't know them as well as we know our attacks, right? If you're the better grappler. However, if the guy you're holding the Kimura on is a better grappler than you and you sit, you're gonna get shut down, dude. Because it's an even position. The Kimura, the guy holding the Kimura and the guy defending the Kimura both have attacks. So the guy being Kimura has great back attacks, and the guy Kimura-ing obviously has great Kimura attacks and follow-ups. Okay, so the grip is almost incidental. It doesn't matter who has the grip; it's whose jiu-jitsu is better. So I felt like Pettis initiated a grappling war where he shouldn't have, because we learned in round 1 that Diaz jiu-jitsu is more experienced, more I would say more advanced, more developed. And I think that was a crucial mistake in round 2, and he lost round 2, of course. Now, maybe he did it because his foot was so bad. I don't know, and I don't want to talk for the guy. But I do feel that Pettis could have done a lot better. Like, we've seen Pettis perform, and we've seen him shine. He's had some incredible performances in that octagon. He's, won the title in WEC. He's won the title in UFC. I feel like that wasn't Pettis' best performance. If Pettis was having one of his top performances, it would have been a big win for him. I also really feel that Diaz improved a lot in those 3 years, and that's something nobody can equate for, but he has improved a lot. I felt his striking was better, specifically his head movement. You saw him slip a lot more punches than he has in the past. Watch that fight again. Pettis threw some serious heaters at Diaz, and Diaz slipped them beautifully, better than he has in the past. I felt that his defensive head movement was better than he has in the past. He's developed his footwork. His head movement has gotten better. And in the last 2 years, he must have been putting in a lot of work because he's shown a lot of improvement. Striking, wrestling, and his jiu-jitsu look better than ever as well. His jiu-jitsu looked better. than before. So kudos to Nick. I really look forward to see how he's gonna do in the welterweight division. Absolutely brilliant performance. Loved it. With that said, guys, let's hear what you guys have to say about that fight. Alan Wolf asks, does Pettis break under pressure? I wouldn't say that. Look, he's been in mega fights, man. He's been in mega fights. He fought Max Holloway for a world title fight not long ago. I mean, and he did at 145. That's pressure, man. That's high pressure fights. Okay, so I don't think he breaks under the pressure. I think, look, strategically he made mistakes in the fight. And he shouldn't have basically he should have avoided the ground game at all cost. When he got taken down, he should have tried to get up. Instead, he tried to play guard. He got his back taken. I felt like he should have forced the fight standing up, whereas he was happy to go to the ground with Diaz, it seemed. I think if you had to do it again, keep the fight standing at all cost, and I think it could play out differently. Alan 20019 says, Diaz broke the distance. I agree, he did break the distance. But how did he break the distance? He broke the distance at the end of round 1 by catching a kick and shooting the legs, which is something we haven't seen Diaz do before. Because in the first part of the fight, we saw what Diaz always does. You know, he tries to creep up on you with his boxing, and Pettis was doing fine. And then he tried his upper body takedowns on Pettis. Pettis brushed him off. That was what Diaz always does. When he shot the leg, that was something new, and he did it beautifully, and he did it well, and congratulations to him. He added a new wrinkle to his game, and that new wrinkle paid off big time. Because the later part of round 1 was a complete Diaz round. That portion belongs to Diaz, and it was so dominant. There's no question that round is his. There's no question. How big of a factor was the broken foot? That's from Anand Zala. I think it was a big factor. You know, when you break your foot, it's hard to kick. It's hard to, he's a kicker. Pettis is a great kicker. So, it's a major factor. However, that's part of the game. That's one of the drawbacks of being a kicker. You could hurt your foot. That's just part of the game. Nate versus Kobe, ? That's from Srijan. That would be a hell of a fight. That would be something interesting to watch, no doubt about it. I don't know if that fight ever happens, but if it does, get ready for some pre-fight antics, because that'll be a wild one. I think that would be a great matchup if Diaz beats Masvidal. From what I understand, Diaz is going to be fighting Masvidal. If Diaz beats Masvidal, in my opinion, there's no stopping that matchup. Kobe would have to fight Diaz. I think that's what all the fans are going to want to see. Diaz and Kobe. But before that, we're going to have a Diaz versus Masvidal. I think, Diaz was very smart to call Masvidal out just because it's going to be such a fan favorite. Everybody's going to want to watch that fight. We're all going to want to watch that fight. It's what the fans want to see. So a great future matchup ahead. Diaz versus McGregor 3 for us. How do you see it going now? That's from Venom Musk. Guys, these are hard things to predict, obviously. The first fight, it was a seesaw battle. McGregor was up here. Diaz was up here. Then all of a sudden it flipped. Diaz was on top of him. Literally night and day. Boom, switch. The second fight was neck and neck the whole way through. Seesaw battle, back and forth. They haven't fought in 3 years. If they were to fight again, who knows? Who knows what things McGregor is doing to improve himself? These things are hard to predict, guys. It can go either way. It would be maybe the greatest rubber match in the history of MMA. It may be the greatest rubber match. I think it needs to be done. There's so many great fights to be done. It's exciting time in the UFC. Very exciting time. But the one thing we have to remember, these are A fighters fighting A fighters. Like fights that are predictable, or when you have an A fighter versus a B fighter, that's easy to predict. When you have 2 A fighters, 2 guys in the top 15 fighting each other, it becomes very hard to predict. Except sometimes you have a guy in the top 15 that doesn't really belong there. He's just there because other guys fell off, and this guy still hasn't proven himself, but he's a prospect. And then you have these big question marks, but this is not the case. These are 2 guys who have proven themselves over and over again. If they fight a third time, who knows what's going to happen? Really, just who knows? All right, UFC fights are hard to predict. That's from Venom Musk. Absolutely, especially when we're talking about the top 5, top 15, the top 10. These are 2 AA fighters. If they fought twice, it wouldn't be the same. If they fought 3 times, the third fight wouldn't be the same. They're constantly making adjustments. Do you feel the fight was one-sided between Diaz and Pettis? That's from Matthew. Excuse me, it skipped here. No, that's Matt 5135. Listen, I don't think it was one-sided. I think it was one-sided. I think we all agree Diaz won. There's no debates about that. I just think, look, the first round showed that Pettis had a way to victory, but he made some clearly wrong choices, and that was to grapple with Diaz. If he tried to shut down the grappling and just get back to his feet, not exhaust himself with a back and forth in the grappling, I think it could have been better. Again, that's just my opinion. I think it could have gone better for Pettis. The striking, I think he should have went more to the body, more to the leg, more to the body. And what was interesting is Diaz was standing orthodox. Obviously Diaz, we all know he's a lefty, he's a southpaw, but he was standing orthodox quite a bit in that fight, especially in the second round. Now, in my opinion, you have to adjust to that. Pettis should have changed his stance to southpaw, because he's also a great southpaw, and work that kick upstairs. However, they stayed in a close stance. When you stay in a close stance, the two fighters are closer to one another, and I think that did Diaz a favor. I think there were some strategical issues that could have been changed, could have made a difference in the fight, I think Pettis is a great competitor. He could have done better. Again, it came down to strategy. How do you think the boxing between Diaz and Masvidal will go? That's from Padin. That's a good one. I like to think of both these fighters as boxers as well, but I think Masvidal has more Muay Thai elements to his game. And we saw with his fight with Darren Till that he's added some new elements to his game, like switching off. He switched stance and then switched his feet before throwing a combo. We call that shifting. I thought adding that wrinkle was brilliant. He caught Darren Till by surprise. Oh, sorry, I dropped something here. I don't even know what that was. I believe it's my phone. Pardon the noise. I think Masvidal is adding these new wrinkles, and I think it could be very refreshing for his career, because adding that extra wrinkle, like Diaz did with that takedown, he added that new wrinkle, and that'll surprise your opponents. And that's what the game is all about. You add a new wrinkle. You don't want to change your whole game, because then you're not comfortable with that game. Just add a new wrinkle, and then as time passes, you add another, and you make sure you're comfortable with these new wrinkles. They have to be instinctual. Like when Diaz shot that single and he cracked that takedown, he ran the pipe. He looked smooth. It looked really, really good. He looked like he did it well, and he developed it. It wasn't something he just learned 2 weeks ago. It seemed like something that's ingrained in his game. And I think Masvidal has obviously great boxing like Diaz, but he also has those other elements. He has those elbows, the knees, obviously the knees, the kicks. He has those other elements. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting fight. All right, we have a super chat. Hopefully, it's about Pettis and Diaz. All right, I'm getting a comment here from Tommy. He's telling me the gain on my mic is too high. All right, I'm turning it all the way down. Thank you, Tommy. I think that might have helped. Very appreciated, Mr. Lajoie. Thank you very much. All right, Conor would KO Diaz if they fought again. That's from Khalid Mood. Maybe, very possible. We've seen McGregor KO a lot of different fighters throughout his career. Not an easy guy to KO, Nathan Diaz, but it is possible. All right, what else we got here? Okay. All right. Diaz said after the fight he picked up wrestling by accident. Did you ever see a fighter pick up wrestling by accident? That's from Nuno Sad. Listen, I did hear that interview saying, look, he had Division 1 wrestlers, Division 100 wrestlers, as he put it, in his workout room. Guys doing jiu-jitsu, and they turned out to be wrestlers, so he kind of picked up their techniques. I think that's brilliant. I think that's exactly what he should do. I think everybody should do that from day one in their career. Learn to wrestle. The wrestling techniques are just part of jiu-jitsu, in my opinion. We shouldn't see them any different than all the other moves we have to learn in jiu-jitsu. Why shouldn't you learn how to do a knee tap? Why shouldn't you learn how to do a snap down? Why should you not learn how to do a double leg? It's all grappling, man. It's all good. It's all about grabbing and controlling and manipulating your opponent. Why would you separate takedown techniques from the ground? I think it's crazy. Conor can KO Connor can't KO an old man. That's from Abinhay. Listen, Abinhay, please don't put me on that tangent where I start talking about McGregor punching that guy in the in the bar, because I'm gonna go off on him. I don't want to go off on him here. I want to finish this post-fight analysis, and then maybe we could talk about those crazy antics. But I did see that video, and believe me, I have no words to tell you how much I find it disgusting. That's one word I can use to describe it. But let's continue. Some super chats. Missed some super chats, Coach Eric D. All right, let me go back here. Coach, do you see an improvement in Diaz's clinch? I thought the clinch was good as usual. He's always had a good clinch. He's always been a good clincher. Who wins, Maia versus Askren, Coach? That's from Luke Peterson. Guys, that's a very hard one to call, man. Me and George were talking about it the other day. So hard to call. I don't know. I just feel like if it was a no time limit match, I would pick Maia, because he's the only one who's going to finish. But because I feel that Askren can kind of like hold him up against the fence and kind of neutralize the jiu-jitsu and eat up the clock and stay on top, I think Askren can get off some ground and pound using the fence and all that and kind of win the fight. But can he finish Maia? I don't think so. But I think a Maia could finish Askren if he had an unlimited time. Would you like to see Nick Diaz back? That's from Crazy PTV. Yes, absolutely. I would love to see Nick Diaz back. I'm a big fan of the Diaz brothers, both Diaz brothers. Even though they've cursed me out a million times, me and George a million times. Listen, even though, look, I have a leeway for them, because I feel that's who they are. They're being authentic. That's where they come from. Anybody on the other side is your enemy, regardless of how they treat you, regardless if they're good guys or not. They're the other. I don't condone it. Okay, that's not my way of seeing the world, but I do understand that that's, how they're raised. And I really don't care, honestly, when we used to see them in the hallways and used to curse us. We used to laugh about it. We found it funny. Me and George found it funny. I never took it to heart. I never got upset once. It's just funny. I just found it to be funny. And I don't know, they're just the Diaz brothers. I don't know, they have a charm to them. They have a likable charm. And I think deep down inside, I don't think they're really I don't think they're really bad guys. I don't know them, but they have a charm to them. For me, it makes me laugh, makes me smile. It doesn't bother me. 1, 2, 3 via Algeria. What? Alan? I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. Okay, guys, I think we're pretty much done with that fight. I think everybody's happy with that analysis. Let's move on to the main event. Cormier versus Miocic. Guys, I'm going to keep this so short. It was an epic fight. I gave the first 3 rounds to a DC. Round 1, DC, nobody's going to argue. We all see it the same way, I'm pretty sure. Round 2 was very close. Round 3 was very close. I would hate to be a judge. But I still, if you're asking me, I gave it to DC. If you say it was Miocic, I'm trying to pronounce his name properly this time. I hope I'm doing it correctly. If you think it was Miocic, I agree with you. You could also see it that way. I personally didn't. I saw Cormier. 3 rounds, Cormier. However, the 2 rounds, rounds 2 and 3 were so close. I'm not going to argue with any of you who say otherwise. I won't argue with you. I could see that way too. However, round 4 made it obsolete. We don't have to argue about the first 3 rounds or the second 2 rounds. The second and third round, I should say. Round 4, Miocic made the greatest adjustment in UFC championship history. We're talking about championship rounds. Adjusting in a fight in a championship round. I've never seen anybody do a greater adjustment than Miocic. Now, I don't know if his corners told him that or he figured it out on his own. But he threw a body shot. We all saw it. The first few body shots were not that hard. He was trying to see if he could reach it. This is how I felt. Okay, we're going to have to ask Miocic himself. He was trying to find the body. Can I find it? Can I get away with it? Is there a counter? And the last body shot, he landed, I felt it was like 10. Maybe 10 is too much, but maybe it's my imagination, but I felt it was like 10 body shots. I felt it was an eternity of body shots. The last one, he put the heat on it because he felt, hey, I can get in and out. I could touch that body. And there was no consequence. He found a kink in the armor. The last shot before he ended the fight, there was a lot of heat on that body shot. There was a lot of heat on that body shot, and that body shot was the beginning of the end. Now, for those of you who've done boxing and been hit in a body shot, there are body shots, and then there are body shots that just changed the whole fight, and that was one of them. Sometimes a body shot is so bad, you can't stand up anymore. Your legs are telling you, you're telling them to stand, and they're telling you, go to hell. We're not standing anymore. We're folding in half, and we're staying here, and we don't care about the title. That's what your legs are going to be telling you. If you've sparred for many years in the gym, we've always been hit with a body shot that we didn't like, and we felt it. There's something about getting hit in the liver that shuts the system down. That was the greatest body punch in UFC championship round history. The greatest adjustment in UFC championship rounds ever. The man was on his way to a loss, and he made an adjustment in the championship rounds, and he hit a home run. If that was a 3-round fight, we would be like, hey, Cormier is just a better fighter, man. Round 4 and 5, those championship rounds showed that Miocic could make an adjustment, and he did. He found a win. If they fought again, who knows who would win? Who knows, man? Look at the first fight and the second fight. So different. The first fight, Cormier wins in round 1 in devastating fashion, and he just got the job done. Round 2, matchup, the rematch, totally different fight. Totally different fight. This time, it goes in the later rounds, and Miocic gets the KO. These things are just so volatile, so difficult to predict. If they fought a third time, guys, we could tell you, we could say one thing. These guys are so neck and neck. These guys are they're both so close in skill. They're both so close in ability that it's all going to come down to their strategies. It's all going to come down to their strategies. They both have power. They both have speed. They both have skill. They both have tactics. They both have everything. Rounds 2 and 3 showed how close they were. I don't know how the judges scored it. I didn't look at the official scorecard. That's something I would be interested in seeing. If anybody knows it, please put it in the chat room. If anybody knows how the judges scored it up to the 4th. So we had the score for round 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, they wouldn't have a score for round 4 because it ended there. But rounds 2 and 3, who did the judges give it to? If anybody knows, that would be fantastic. Maniac, this is an eye poker pig. Now, okay, look, I really don't appreciate it. Please lighten up on the insults here. DC's a great human being. I don't think he did it on purpose. I don't know the guy too well personally, but I can tell you something. He did eye poke Miocic. He did. I feel that it was by accident. I feel it's a bad habit he has. I don't think it was purposeful. I can't read into the man's mind. I just don't think DC's personally a cheater. He doesn't strike me that way. Okay. Again, maybe he's got me fooled. I don't know. I just think those were accidental. But he did eye poke Miocic in round 1 in their rematch. Okay, so I know he poked him in round 1 in their first battle. And that could have changed the whole course of the fight, in my opinion, as well. I know a lot of you felt that way. There was a bad eye poke. We've talked about it in the past. But in their rematch now, in the first round, he poked Miocic. Go back and watch that fight again. He pokes Miocic in the eye. Miocic, excuse me. And the referee does not intervene. And Miocic is there squinting. And then 2 seconds later, Miocic lands a really good combination. I think Miocic was not surprised this time of the eye poke. I think in their first fight, when he got poked in the eye, he kind of freaked out a bit, because that's what happens when you get poked in the eye, guys. I've talked about my experiences of being poked in the eye. It's horrendous. You will freak out. Like you're gonna have that instinct to wanna like rub your eye. Like you'll forget where you are. I don't care if you're in a fight or you're hanging off a bridge. Like if you get poked in the eye, you forget where you are. Okay. And he had that reflex, to touch his eye in round 1. In their match 1. Their first fight, and he got beat up for it. In their second fight, I think he was cooler about it. He did get poked in the eye, but then he was like, you know what? I know where this is going. He's coming towards me still. Bang, bang, and he caught Cormier. He actually clipped Cormier in round 1. He handled the eye poke better in their rematch. I think that made a huge difference in the fight. He still lost round 1, but made a huge difference in the fight. I think Miocic handled the eye poke in their rematch much more wisely, and a guy who showed experience of being eye poked in the past. Like he's been eye poked in the past. This time he's dealing with it better the second time around. I thought it was a very significant eye poke. If you don't agree with me, please go watch round 1 again in their rematch. It's quite subtle, but no doubt about it, Miocic got poked in the eye very badly in round 1 in the rematch. I'm not talking about the original fight. In the original fight, he was poked in the eye as well. In the second fight, he was poked in the eye as well. I don't think it's purposeful. I think we know when we spar with boxing gloves, we don't close our fists, right? You relax your hands, because when you close your fists, your forearms are activated. And why the hell would you activate your forearms? You need to relax your muscles. Okay, when your muscles are relaxed, your punches are more snappy. We only close the fist at the end of a punch, right? So I think he's kind of just pawing, and that finger went in the eye. It's just a boxing habit. I think hands should be turned in like this. So you have to paw with your hand turned in, not like this. This is way too dangerous. I think referees have to be quicker on that. Hey, fingers have to be pointing to the ceiling, not towards your opponent. Always up. And if you want to paw, you can paw like this. I really hope that they put a curve in the glove. You know, if you remember the Pride gloves had a curve. So when you put your hand in them, the glove was already curved. So when you relax your hand and open it, the glove naturally curves your fingers in. And we had a lot less eye pokes in the Pride days than we do in UFC. The UFC gloves are flat. So when you get them, they're flat like this. So when you put them on and you relax your hand is open. So those are just my thoughts. I don't think Cormier did it on purpose. I just think it's just the way he boxes. Do you think DC could have wrestled more? Do you think he was too tired and Stipe shut it down? Troy S. Troy, that's a great comment. His corner was like, that's the opposite of game plan. You're doing the opposite game plan. They were very upset with him. Now, I'll tell you something. Imagine... it's hard to say. Look, I understand that the game plan is to take him down. I feel that Cormier didn't have a good opportunity to take Miocic down. I thought it was too much energy. I wouldn't have called for the takedown. I would have said, look for the takedown. It's very different. When you tell a fighter, hey, go in there and take him down, that means go and force a takedown on this guy. Even if the setup is not there, grab him and force him down. I think that's a bad idea. You're going to get tired and you're going to get shut down if you try that on Miocic. If you look for a takedown on Miocic, you can score it if the opportunity arises, if he's overly aggressive. This is how I would have asked Cormier to take Miocic down. I would have said, look, when you connect an overhand right, because if we saw in round 1, all the way to round 4, the overhand right was working beautifully for Cormier. Round 1, he hurt Miocic bad with an overhand right. When a taller man gets hit with an overhand right, it knocks his weight backwards towards the rear leg. I'm going to shoot on your lead leg. It's hard for you now to sprawl on your lead leg. I would have told him, look, when you connect the right, level change and get into that high crotch position. We all saw Cormier's takedown in round 1. He shot the lead leg. He went into a high crotch position and did a crotch lift. That's his takedown. That's his go-to move. It's going to work. He did it on Josh Barnett. He scores it all the time. He does it beautifully. But that leg needs to be light for a second so I can grab onto it so that you don't sprawl it back. If Cormier connects a right hand, which he was connecting many on a regular basis, that's the time to shoot a high crotch. Right after connecting a right hand, that's when his weight is distributed in a way that opens you up to shoot that high crotch. High crotch is when your head is to the outside. You're on a single leg, you have one leg, but your head is to the outside. If I was in his corner, I would say, look, once you connect with the right, give me that level change. Get that high crotch. Instead of we're kind of telling him, get the takedown. Get the takedown. You cannot force a takedown on Miocic. He's not a naive wrestler. Miocic is not a naive wrestler. In my opinion, it would have backfired. He would have gassed out. So to answer your question, yes, Cormier could have taken him down, but I think he needed a strategy to take him down that's a little bit more of setup oriented than to just go and enforce his grappling on him. If Miocic was a naive wrestler, I would say, yeah, look, just enforce it. Don't worry. Just go at him. Don't worry. Your wrestling abilities, both of you, there's such a differential that you don't even need a setup. Let's not even mess around. Let's not wait for the perfect time to take him down. Let's just grapple with him, and eventually he's going to make a mistake because he doesn't have your experience. Like, for instance, you see Khabib sometimes just, initiate a clinch because he knows if he clinches with you for a minute or so, you're going to make a mistake. And like when he fought Michael Johnson, the differential in wrestling was so great that, look, all he's got to do is lock up with you. If he locks up with you, it's a matter of, you won't be able to get him off you, and two, it's a matter of time before you make a mistake and he scores. However, this is not the case between Miocic and Cormier. It's not the case. If they lock up, if they're clinching, It's not going to be an easy takedown. How Cormier is going to get him down, in my opinion, is a slick setup to the leg. Slick setup, catch that leg. Then I'm very confident if Cormier gets to the leg, a high crotch, he'll get the takedown. Not 99 times out of 100, but let's say 7 out of 10. Let's call it 70% chance he scores a nice takedown, and it's a very significant takedown that he can stay on top of him and dominate the round and win that round. I felt they had 3 rounds in the bank. I would have been okay with Cormier coasting for a round. Just getting that recovery and going back hard in for the 5th. Sometimes when you bank in 3 rounds, you need to coast 1 round. Why? Because if you keep fighting too hard, you might get clipped. You might overextend yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. I always want to win every single round, every single time. Don't get me wrong. However, I felt that the battle was so heated, and I felt that Cormier did so much work, and I felt that Cormier's energy levels seemed to be dipping. If you saw him on the stool, he seemed really fatigued. Go back and watch that fight. I would have told him, look, take this round a little bit, let's not be as aggressive. Let's fight, but let's keep it at 70-80%. Let's re-energize and come back and take round 5 in a big and bad way. Sometimes you're in a hard fight, and that's the way you gotta navigate. You gotta navigate in a way that brings us to the greatest chance of winning this fight. And sometimes you gotta take 1 step back to take 2 steps forward. That's my opinion. Your thoughts on front kick to avoid liver blow. That's from Mohand. Mohand, you know what? When you front kick somebody, usually you're the taller guy. I like the front kick. The front kick is fantastic. Actually, if you guys watch the Diaz Pettis fight, early in round 1, Diaz throws a nice front kick. I thought that was brilliant. Why didn't he do that in the McGregor fight? That's the kind of kick you want to throw. When you're a tall, lanky guy like that, throw that front kick. Throw it high up into the chest. Make sure you don't get countered. But for Cormier to front kick the taller Miocic, I think is a tall order. I don't think he's very comfortable lifting his leg that high. I don't think he has it in his arsenal. And if he tried it, he'd probably likely get countered because usually it's more of a tall man's move. Okay, not always. There are exceptions. But in this circumstance, I don't think it would have stopped the liver kick. The liver punch. Stipe took him down in the 3rd round. That's from Maniac. How did he take him down again? Was it a brief little... I do remember them hitting the ground. You're right. I can't remember how it was done, though. I'm not recalling. Let me look it up. I have the fight here. Hold on. My desktop here. Let's go to the 3rd round. All right. Let's see. That is interesting. I can't remember how he took him down. Look, it'll take me 1 second. I'll pull it up for you. Okay, this is the 3rd round. Okay, Miocic is shooting. He misses the takedown completely. Cormier does a limp leg. Let me fast forward here. Let's see here. What else we got? There was a takedown attempt. He didn't score the takedown. So far, okay, he's got an underhook. Body lock against the fence. Cormier looks like he's getting tired. Cormier looks like he's huffing and puffing. He's still moving forward, though. Cormier is still fighting hard. He's still fighting really, really hard. But he does look like he's worn out. Okay, here's the takedown. You're correct. Body lock. Miocic has a body lock. And he's about to do an ukigoshi, and breaks Cormier down to the mat. That is correct. Cormier is going to get to his 4-point position here, and he's just going to muscle his way back up to the fence and get back up. You're right. He did a nice little hip toss. Then Cormier shoots on him. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Cormier shoots on him here. Cormier shooting, drops to his knees, and Miocic is now behind him, and Cormier gets back up to the fence. That's what I'm talking about. His corner's like, take him down, take him down. Dude, he did try to take him down. Watch that fight. Miocic takes him down, exactly as you say. Cormier gets back up. Cormier shoots and gets rejected. He gets sprawled out on. Miocic runs to the back. He's got the waist. Cormier comes up. That's a lot of energy from Cormier. He's getting back up. He's working. Both these guys are working hard. I think Miocic is a very competent wrestler. He knows what he's doing. He's not easy to take down. Cormier has to get to the high crotch. He shot the high crotch. He shot the leg. He missed it. He needs a proper setup. It's not going to be that easy to take Miocic down. Thank you for that reminder. That's actually a great sequence to break down. That was an epic little sequence there in round 3 where they're fighting really, really hard, both men. That was round 3, right? Let me just double check that. This is round 3. Yes, round 3. Crazy fight all the way through. action-packed. So many sequences. It's hard to remember them all. But, Cormier was following orders. He was trying to take Miocic down, in my opinion. Look, right there, he failed the takedown attempt. I felt that he was working hard, man. Both fighters were working hard. This was not a fight any guy was there to lose. These guys were working hard for that win, man. You see it in their fighting, they're punching, they're kicking, they're wrestling, they're working full capacity. Incredible fight by both men. Coach, do you think Cormier is too short for heavyweight? That's from Younes. Absolutely not. Look, he just went 4 rounds with the greatest heavyweight of all time, UFC heavyweight of all time, and he was winning 3 of the 4. So you tell me if he's too short. He's fighting the greatest heavyweight of all time, and he's winning 3 out of 4 rounds. How could he be too short? The man is extremely successful at heavyweight. Do you think it was close? That's from Gabriel. Of course it was close. It was very, very close. That's what I've been here trying to say. Reminds me of Aldo's body shot. That's from Luca. What body shot did Aldo land? He's landed body shots throughout his entire career. Are you referring to a particular fight? Is my question. Do you think DC will fight again? That's from War Gunner. I hope so. Just because I enjoy watching him fight. But if he retires, I'm also super happy for him. He's had a brilliant career. He's one of the greatest fighters of all time. No question, 2-division champ. And he also strikes me as an incredible human being. Both inside and outside the cage, he also strikes me. I don't know him too well. I've hung out with him once, many years ago. We actually watched the Olympic qualifiers together once upon a time, a long, long time ago, many, many years ago. And he was just such a great guy. All I could say is good things about the DC. What else we got here? Jeremy Stevens threw body shots at Aldo. That's from Pekka. Pekka, yes, that's correct. And remember that Aldo returned the favor. Both guys were throwing incredible body shots at each other. That is true. It's very reminiscent of those punches. There was a super chat. Okay, guys, let me check the super chat real quick. Hopefully it's relevant to what we have to say here today. Wouldn't DC be better with much less body fat in much lower weight class? That's from Flores Shmuki. Shmuki, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Flores, listen, some people are naturally built this way. Okay, I think that's Cormier is natural. I think Cormier probably eats really well and trains obviously absolutely hard around the clock. For him to have abs and then be like smaller around this area would be like pulling teeth. Okay, it's not that easy for people. Look, I eat well and I train around the clock, and I'm not gonna be ripped like a Paulo Costa. There's some people that are naturally more lean, and their stomach is just naturally smaller. Okay, like some people have longer arms, shorter legs, bigger head, longer chins, or whatever. We all have different dimensions. His potential for being lean and ripped and losing weight and being in lighter weight class is limited, but he has other great gifts. There are too many to count. But the man has been so extremely successful at both heavyweight and light heavyweight. In my opinion, he's probably eating right and exercising around the clock, obviously. So that's what his body, that's where it lands. That's just how his body is. If you look at somebody who's really, really lean, really, really ripped, ask to see photos. Go look at photos of them when they were young. If they were naturally lean their entire life, we all have a friend that eats whatever they want and they're naturally lean. We all have that friend, that ectomorph. They're oftentimes referred to as ectomorphs. They eat McDonald's. They're not careful how they eat. And women, sometimes they have a baby and then 2 months later they look like they didn't have a kid. That's not the case for most women. That's not the case for most men. If you eat McDonald's, you get fat. Most of us, when we eat junk food and we don't exercise, we gain weight. However, there's a small sliver of the population with a particular body type that they eat around the clock. They don't know anything about dieting. They barely exercise and they're lean, ripped. They got, well-proportioned bodies. And that's just the nature. That's just genetic. Now, if those people went into bodybuilding, well, they'd have an edge on everybody because, they're naturally lean already. So if they watch what they eat, they're going to be even leaner, and they're going to, their body's going to seem ultra lean. getting into that ultra elite level. That's why you have to look in the mirror, see what your natural attributes are, and exploit them. Okay, and I'm not talking about physically looking in the mirror. I'm talking about, if you're super intelligent, go in academia. If you're super strong, go in sports. I mean, if you're super creative, go in the arts. Find what you have a natural inclination to and exploit it to the max. This is a very important. And it's, I've talked about one of my favorite books is Peter Drucker's Managing Oneself. And that's basically, it's such a simple book, but he's telling you, look, this is the key to being successful, man. Find what your natural talents are. Everybody has born with some kind of natural talent. And exploit that natural talent to the end. I don't think Cormier is the type of guy who is naturally lean. I bet you if you look at him when he was a kid, like look at John Ruiz, the boxer. You look at pictures of him when he was a kid, he was chubby. Today, the man's a professional boxer, world champion. And he's still got that chubby little genetic type thing going on. The guy's working around the clock. The guy's world champion. He didn't get that far without working around the clock. So it's just genetic potential. I don't make too much of it. Like, for instance, you look at a George Foreman. For goodness sake, man, the guy won the world championship at the age of 40. And he had a gut out to here, man. But the guy was, okay, maybe he's not the leanest guy in the world, but man, does he hit like a truck. That man was blessed with power. And he used that ability. He used that ability to be a world champion again in his 40s. Which is unheard of, by the way, in boxing. I know in MMA it's very common, to have older champions. In boxing, it's unheard of. Okay, guys, with that said, if we've wrapped it up, I'll open it up to any questions right now. We've been going over 1 hour on the UFC 241, an epic card. Nobody was disappointed after that card. I didn't hear one person belly aching. Not one of you. Okay, I think we all thoroughly enjoyed it. Made for a great a weekend of fights. Do you see Miocic beating John Jones? That's from Alihan. Alihan, listen, I don't think so. I think John Jones can go up to heavyweight right now and take the throne. Take the belt. That's my opinion. I think he's smart. I think he's a little too smart and creative, and he'll get the job done. It wouldn't surprise me if he loses. This will be a neck-and-neck battle, but I think he would have the edge. I think he wins that fight. I think he takes it seriously. I think he gets motivated, very motivated, and he takes that fight. McGregor versus old man, LOL. That's from Rodell. Rodell, that was the one thing I was hoping I could avoid today. But let's talk about McGregor. Goodness gracious. Guys, there are so few things I will lose it on. Okay, this is one of them. Like, if I was there when that incident happened, believe me, it wouldn't have gone well. Like, I would have got up out of my chair. I would have been very upset. You don't punch an old person in the face. I don't care what that old man said. I don't want nobody to debate here and get on stage. Go ahead. Tell me, what if he insulted him? Who cares? He's an old man. Maybe the old man has dementia. If some old man walks up to me and calls me a mother trucker or whatever he says to me, I'm like, sir, can I help you across the street? Sir, is that okay? Can I hold your bag for you, sir? Like, I will call him sir. What can I do for you? I don't care if the man curses me out. He's an old man. He's an old man. You cannot strike an old man. I think, listen, I've been to Ireland many times. I love the Irish people. I love Ireland. They are very well-mannered, respectful people. They are great people. I have Irish students that people from Ireland fly to Tristar to train all the time. They are such great human beings. They're such a close-knit people. They're so positive. Their energy is amazing. If you've ever been at a UFC in Ireland, it's unreal. The fans are unreal. They remind me a lot of the Quebec fans. They remind me a lot how involved they are in the fight, how much they cheer, how much love they show to the fighters, how much appreciation. I am sure that 99% of Irish people who saw that are disgusted. 99% sure that his coaching staff are disgusted. Everybody is disgusted of this thing. I don't care what that old man said. There's no reason to hit that old man. It is disgusting. Pure disgust, man. I don't care what anybody says. It is indefensible. There is no defense to this. Except this guy is a pathetic, sorry excuse for a human being. How do you punch an old man because he doesn't want to drink your whiskey? Who can defend this? You punch an old man, then you run like a... What a disgusting display, honestly. I don't care how much money you have in the world. I don't care how famous you are in the world. If this is the type of person you are, your value is zero. Your value is zero. I'm sorry I have to say this, but this is an embarrassment to MMA. It's an embarrassment to us all. Now when the media says, when people say from other sports, oh, MMA people are animals. MMA people are savage. They're brutish. They're violent. They're the barbarians of sports. It's going to be harder for us to defend. We say, no, they're not like that. MMA fighters are great human beings. They're intellectual. They're smart. It's a sophisticated sport, as sophisticated as any sport. I'm always praising the MMA fighters. I always tell people that these are the hardest working athletes in the game. They're extremely talented. They deserve to be renowned, just like NBA stars, just like NFL stars. They are so well trained, as well trained as an Olympian. I'm always going on about how important it is to admire and respect these fighters. What they go through, what they've accomplished, what they've done is incredible. And then this guy embarrasses us like this. This is really like epically. Well, I want to wash my hands, obviously. I think every MMA, anybody involved in MMA wants to wash their hands of this. This is just pure disgusting. It's just purely disgusting. I can't even like, I couldn't put him down. I couldn't be more disappointed. I could not be more disappointed. Super chat here. Let's see. Okay, this is a different topic, my man. So I'm going to keep on this topic, and hopefully we can get to your question after. The old man got some iron chin. The old man versus Conor. At the end, Conor loses, gassed out. Roger M. Roger. To be fair, okay, let's be serious. Conor didn't give him I'm going to put you in a wheelchair punch. Okay, let's be serious. He gave him like a good shot, but he wasn't trying to put the guy to sleep, okay? At least he has this much reserve. But we know that when people aren't looking, when nobody's looking, McGregor will do, if he didn't know he was being filmed probably, McGregor will do the most disgusting acts. When nobody's looking, we know that the guy, those are his true colors. When nobody's looking, he's going to behave this way. He didn't punch him in a way that was trying to knock his teeth out, but he did give him a hard shot nonetheless. He gave him a hard shot, which was, it could have, listen, old people are far more fragile, obviously. He could have knocked that old man out. He could have killed him, honestly. I don't think he was trying to kill him. I don't think he was trying to knock him out, but you never know. That old person could have 101 ailments. Who knows? Maybe that old man's having all sorts of issues right now. Who knows? Maybe, he's... I don't know. Maybe, but the guy kept drinking. The guy kept he didn't keep drinking, but he just sat there and like nothing happened. Maybe he was under shock. Maybe he was super scared. Like if he says something, he's going to get hit again. Maybe he was just trying to maybe he was completely shocked. Didn't know what to do. Or maybe he didn't even feel it. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But I think that was a significant enough shot. But even if it wasn't, it was just a gesture. McGregor's already rich. He doesn't need that old man to drink his whiskey. It's a matter of ego. It's his ego. He thinks he's so much better than everybody else. He thinks his value is so much better than everybody else. Look, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hit your grandfather, and I'm going to hit you, the citizens of this country, and I'm going to disrespect my elders, and I'm going to do what I want, and you guys are all still going to drink my whiskey because I'm so great. It's like, dude, get out of here. Take your whiskey and get the hell out of here. Take your whiskey. Take all your fight money. Take all your wins. Whatever. We don't care about that. Nobody's gonna base themselves that much. Like for instance, if George had done something like that, I would tell him off, man. I would tell him off. I would tell him disgraced. I would kick him out of my gym until he gives a public apology, until he makes it right with that old man. He's gonna bring that old man here. We're gonna make it right with him. We're gonna fix it with him. We're gonna whatever it is, money, buy that guy a house, whatever. That guy's gonna be our new best friend. That guy's gonna be part of the team now. We're going to make it up to him. That's the only way to deal with this. That is the only way to deal with this. If you have class, if you have respect. Purely disgusting, man. Listen, if somebody were to hit my father like this, that's somebody's father. That's somebody's grandfather. That's somebody's uncle. That's somebody's brother. Dude, we're talking about maximum. We're taking this story and we're going to take it to the maximum extent to deal with him. I won't tell you what that means. Okay, I'll let you guys read between the lines. But maximum, this is maximum elevation. Nobody does that to an older man. That's just purely disgusting. If you're a real man, you ask each other to step outside, but you don't ask an old man to step outside. You have a problem with a guy, let's step outside. A young man your age, we step outside. Not punch some old guy and run like this. This is just... Don't judge, brother. That's from Ajamal D. Can I tell you something? Can you grow a pair, sir? Can you please show some respect for our society? Can you please not be so cowardly and say, don't judge? I'm not judging. I'm telling you how it is. If you attack an innocent human being in front of my eyes, I'm going to get up and intervene. I'm sad to hear, Ajamal, that you wouldn't. That you're going to see a young kid hit an old man and say, whoa, I don't know two sides of the story. This is unacceptable. Some things are unacceptable. Attacking an innocent human being, a defensive human being, is unacceptable. What excuse could he possibly have? That old man is Adolf Hitler. You know, Adolf Hitler's in hiding now in Ireland. He's over 100 years old and he's hiding in Ireland. That's okay. If that was the case, I'll be like, okay, you hit him, that you didn't do enough. We know that's not the case. What is there? Okay, the guy didn't want to drink my whiskey. The guy called me an asshole. The guy called me this. What excuse could you possibly manufacture? Manufacture one for me. Give me a for instance where I'm wrong. You can't punch an old man. It's undefensible. Ajamal, and I hope, Ajamal, if you ever see something like that in public, you stand up and defend the old man, and don't play these games or, oh, I don't know both sides of the story. There's no two sides of the story. There's nothing to know. There's a young kid beating up an old defenseless man. There's no way to excuse him. There's no way. What else we got here? All right, guys. I got a bunch of comments here. Connor is a snake. Roger M. Connor versus... I don't know who that is. When will you come to Germany? Any other locations than Dusseldorf planned? That's from 11 Slow Motion. Guys, I will be in Dusseldorf doing a seminar in Dusseldorf. I forgot to put up the link, but I will put it up next week. I am coming to Dusseldorf. I'm coming to Dusseldorf on the week of the 14th of September. 14th of September is a Saturday. I'm count backwards. I'm doing we're doing a fight in September 14th in London. KSW, Robert Soldick is fighting. I will be doing a seminar in Dusseldorf the Wednesday before. So that brings us to, help me out here, I think it's like the 11th or 10th. 11th or 12th. I'm doing a seminar in Dusseldorf. Look out for my seminar in Dusseldorf. I will be doing it the second week of September. I will post it up here, okay, in my future episodes. I forgot to put up the link. I forgot to put up the poster today. Thank you for that reminder. I will be in Dusseldorf. If you're in Dusseldorf, let's train. I won't be doing any other seminar in Germany while I'm there. So just Dusseldorf. For us, thank you for speaking facts on hitting an old man. That's from ELC. Thank you very much, ELC. I'm glad to see that somebody else is also upset about this. This is unacceptable. Never going to happen on my watch. Guys, I missed a super chat. I hope it's about the same topic. I don't want to jump. That's a question about Raymond Decker. No, I have never worked with a Raymond Decker. He's a legend of Muay Thai. That's from Tora Bambora. No, I've never worked with him. Where would you rank him in the Falun Goat Muay Thai list? As a foreigner, I would say he's number 2. I would say Danny Bill is number 1, greatest foreigner of all time. Number 2 would be Ramon Decker. Okay, actually, you know what? I have to also put John Wayne Power in there, so maybe I'll put John Wayne, Danny Bill, then Ramon Decker as greatest foreign fighters of all time. Roger M, that old man should cash in some big bucks. Maybe he does. This is from Jedi Brooks. Huge Connor fan, but this is disgusting. Lost all respects and pray for some kind of explanation. Look, if he came out with a good explanation, I'll come up here and apologize to him for saying what I said, but I just don't see any. I saw just McGregor putting down a cup, ready to serve some whiskey, and the guy moving the cup, and then McGregor putting it again, and the guy moving it again, and the guy doesn't seem like he was talking to McGregor. He was just maybe like, just saying he doesn't want it. Just seemed like it. He didn't even turn to face McGregor. And McGregor hit him and split. It's like, dude, man, people are gonna take your alcohol. They're drinking, except one guy. What is it to you that one guy doesn't want to drink it? How do you know he can't? Maybe he's not drinking alcohol. Maybe the guy's having Perrier. Maybe the guy's on medication. Maybe he's just there to hang out because he wants to socialize. Maybe the man can't drink your whiskey for whatever reason. But it didn't seem like there was a dialogue. Again, maybe there was something that happened before their interaction. Maybe they know each other. Whatever it may be. You still don't hit an old man. You still do not hit a defenseless old man. And plus, you sucker punched him. If it was a guy your age, at least ask him to step outside. Let's do this outside. If there was maybe a past history, maybe they've known each other for many years, and today is the straw that broke the camel's back. But don't sucker punch a man. Plus, the guy's an old man. Goodness gracious, it's disgusting. What else we got here? Gorty. I can't read that. I wish I could read that, but I highly doubt that's the case. And even then, I wouldn't hit the man. Corty's saying, look, what if he sexually assaulted him under the table and you don't see that on camera? I still wouldn't hit the man. Okay, I would back away. I would definitely back away, but I won't hit an old man. Okay, so come on. All right, guys, let's move on to another topic. I'm going to end this here on a nice positive note. We're in for 90 minutes. It's been an hour and 32 minutes. Let's end on a good note. I missed a super chat. Let's see what super chat I missed. Let's see here. My dear friends sending me super chats. All right, let's see. Coach, how would you train BJJ with sciatic down your leg from a herniated disc? Push through pain or wait for the pain to numbness is gone? That's from Vincent. Vincent, I suffered for sciatica for 2 years. That's why these puppies exist. I found a company that made me this machine. Okay? Look, you got to get the book, Becoming a Supple Leopard. I talk about it all the time. Okay, I don't want to end this note because I talked about it so many times. I'm not going to spend more than 5 seconds on this because I talked about it so many times. It's proper alignment and keeping your muscles loose. Your sciatica will disappear. I've met many guys who stopped training because of sciatica. And when it happened to me, I was scared that I was going to be the end of my career because I'm telling you, the pain was horrendous. When I would go to bed at night, I couldn't sleep and I didn't want painkillers. I was so petrified that I would be the end of my grappling and wrestling. And yes, I had to stop wrestling. I had to stop grappling. I had to stop for a period of time until I discovered Supple Leopard, how to work it out. I felt immediate benefit, immediate. I was feeling better and better. I worked on it religiously until today. I'm pain-free. But you got to know how to keep your body well aligned, how to neutralize your spine, how to neutralize your neck. These are all terms you're going to find in the Supple Leopard book. And keeping those muscles loose. You will have no sciatica. I promise you, it'll go away. I had a bulging disc. I didn't have a ruptured disc. I spoke to the world's greatest authority on backs, Stuart McGill. I spoke to him personally. He told me, don't get surgery. You can repair it with the Kelly Starrett method. You can get better. But there's other elements. You have to strengthen your abs too. Okay, he's a big believer in having strong abs. He doesn't believe in sit-ups. He believes like doing kind of like plank, like things that don't bend. He says, look, the lower back is not meant to be bent a million times doing sit-ups. Okay, you ruin your back like that. Basically, you want to use smart ways to create strong abs, good form, keep those muscles loose. The sciatica will go away. Mine went away quick using these methods. Like within a month or two, I was back on the mats. I was feeling amazing. I couldn't believe that my sciatica. Look, it didn't go away right away. It took me about 6 months for it to go away. Like I don't have any more trace of sciatica. But the benefit I got early on, it was so good. I was 50% better that I started rolling right away. I was so confident that my back was getting better. And it slowly dropped to zero, slowly over the months. I'll have a little tweak here and there. I would have a little something bothering me, and it just kind of kept less and less. And now once in a blue moon, I'll have a little pain. But again, I just work on it. It goes away. Make sure you take care of that back. Very important stuff. All right, guys, let's end it on something new. We're not going to be talking about backs or sciatica or recovery. We did a lot of talk on eye pokes, so I'm going to skip that one. Can you shout out my nephew? He has an amateur fight coming up. Nick Gers. Go Nick Gers. Fredo Dog. Mr. Fredo Dog, I will give a shout out to your nephew. Nick Gers, go get it, man. Hands up, chin down, and get to work, my dear friend. Get it to work. What else we got here? Do you think Costa kicked Romero in his groin? 11 slow motion 11. He did. He kneed him in the groin. At first, I was kind of like, hey, is this another Romero kind of like thing? Let's just call it a thing. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually want to talk about one more topic. I talked about Romero's fight with Kennedy. Tim Kennedy. I went to rewatch that fight, okay? Tim Kennedy never grabs Yoel's glove. Can you guys please go rewatch that fight? Please go rewatch that fight. He was holding Yoel's wrist, and Yoel broke his wrist, and he kind of snagged the glove. He was holding the wrist already. They were punching, they were grappling, then they were punching. He had the wrist in his hand, and as Yoel pulled it out, he kind of pulled the inside, he snagged it. Before that, Yoel was holding the fence. He was draping his arms across the fence. He got a warning for holding the fence. So let's call it one holding each. I'll give you Kennedy holding, which I don't think he was. I'm gonna appease you guys who think that Kennedy gave Yoel Romero a carte blanche, which he didn't. But I'm gonna give you guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna let you have that one. Let's say Tim Kennedy did grab illegally the glove of Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero was holding the fence and grabbing the top of the fence. Now, okay, it happens. I don't believe that it changed the outcome of the fight. Both grabs, in that particular circumstance, both Yoel grabbing the fence and both Tim Kennedy grabbing the glove, in my opinion, didn't change the fight. What did change the fight is Yoel didn't get up off the stool after he was hurt very bad. And in my opinion, that's a TKO. Tim Kennedy wins. If the referee tells you get up off the stool and you don't get up, you're done. Fast forward, Yoel at the end of the fight says, oh, I didn't get up off the stool because my coach saw I was tired and told me, don't get up off the stool. Later, the whole world explodes and says, that's totally wrong. You should be TKO. And then he says, no, you know what? I stayed on the stool to get back at him for holding my glove. That came way later. He had to come with a new reason of why he didn't get up off the stool. Guys, don't be so naive. The man just, after the fight, told you. He didn't know there was a scandal. He didn't know people were upset. He doesn't know. You're in the fight. You didn't hear what the media is saying. Forgive me. Now he's got to come up with you. You no longer use that story. Well, I didn't get up because I was tired. You can't say that. That would look horrible for him. Yet he did say that after the fight. Technically, that's a TKO. Now, let's say you say, no, it's even because he grabbed his glove and he stayed on the stool. Let's accept Yoel Romero's excuse. Well, Yoel grabbed the fence before that and he grabbed the apron. By your reasoning, we're missing one cheat for Tim. Guys, the grabbing of the glove, which wasn't really grabbing, and the grabbing of the fence was irrelevant in the fight. The referee did a good job. Okay, he was watching them. He warned Yoel for grabbing the fence. He warned him. He told him off. Like, he was on it. Not getting him off the stool. In my opinion, is you being unable to continue. No, that's my opinion. We don't have to agree. I don't hate Yoel. I'm a big fan of Yoel. I think Yoel is a phenomenal fighter. I tune into his fights. Guys, you just heard me praise him against Paulo Costa. I have nothing against the man. I'm just telling you how it is. If any fighter, let's say he wasn't Yoel Romero, gets told to get up off that stool and he doesn't, I'm going to tell you, look, that guy could not continue the fight. This has nothing to do with Yoel Romero as a person. I find that the guy is a great fighter. He's very talented. I watch his fights. I'm a big fan. I find that the guy he's an impressive fighter. Great martial artist, Olympian. I have utmost respect for him. This has nothing to do with his identity. Guys, let me tell you a little story. There was a once upon a time, Tim Kennedy went after me in the media, in an article, saying I'm a bad trainer or whatnot. I have beef with Tim Kennedy. I don't have beef with Yoel. Actually, excuse me. I don't have beef with Tim Kennedy. That's a long time ago. I don't care about it. I'm not upset with the guy. If I saw the guy, I would say hello. If we're ever in the same practice room together, I would train with him. I have nothing against either guy. But I'm saying if I had a prejudice, it would be against Kennedy, because once upon a time, Kennedy tried to like say, I was. He was just being very negative towards me once upon a time. I don't remember what reason. It would be a long tangent. Not a major thing. Just he was being interviewed and kind of threw me under the bus, and he was saying, "Look, I'm not a good trainer." Whatever. I don't care. I really don't care about that comment. He stopped, because me and Greg are really close. I think he realized that later. And he's like, hey, you know what? Let me not say anything. I don't even know if he knows. Put it this way. If I had a prejudice, it would be towards Kennedy. I should be like, hey, you know what? Kennedy is a cheater. I don't have a prejudice. I'm just telling you how I see it. The man didn't get up when he was told to get up. He was dazed. He was obviously dazed. He was obviously hurt. He was obviously tired. And he was told to get up by the state, and he did not get up purposefully. Not because it was a language barrier. No. The guy was like, he had a glop of Vaseline on him, and he was like, no, I'm not moving. And then the referee made them take off the Vaseline. But prior to that, Kennedy was he already walked all the way over to Romero's corner. Like, how come this guy's not up? Complaining to the ref. Like, this is over. We all know it's over. That's the way, guys, that's the way it is in boxing. That's the way it is in MMA. If you don't get up off the stool, you're disqualified. This has nothing to do with Yoel, guys. Don't come here and start telling me I don't like Yoel. I love Yoel. I think Yoel's a great fighter. I want to see more fighting from Yoel. I think Yoel is brilliant. I love the guy. I'm just telling you, if any fighter, Yoel or not, doesn't get up off the stool, you lost. That's it. Period. Done. Don't talk about holding gloves. That was in round one. That has nothing to do. Revenge on the stool. That's absurd. That's an absurd excuse. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next time? I'm not gonna get up off the stool because the guy poked me in the eye in round one. You're gonna get DQ'd. I'm just telling you how the rules are. I didn't make these rules. If I get poked in the eye, let's say viciously poked in the eye, and after between run and two, I'm saying, look, I'm gonna take an extra 30 seconds. No. They're gonna tell you no. When you get poked in the eye, we give you up to 5 minutes. You have the right to take up to 5 minutes. Oh, but I only took 3. It doesn't matter. We don't care if the guy held my glove or the guy kicked me. We don't care. The state's gonna tell you we don't care. We're gonna referee the guy. You don't worry about that guy. You do your thing. Your responsibility now is to get up off the stool, regardless of what the other fighter has done in the past. There's no rule that says, look, you could stay on the stool an extra 30 seconds if the guy held your glove. There's no such rule. This is absurd. Don't make these defenses. They're poor. They make no sense. Hey, coach, would you ever do a collaboration with MMA Fighting Podcast with Luke Thomas? You two are my favorite MMA analysts. Also, what's your next fight for Ryan Hall? Love watching his fights. Awesome show as always. That's from Regular Dude. Thank you very much. Super chat. Boom. I'm going to end it on this. Guys, I know Luke Thomas. I love Luke Thomas. He's got a great show. I've been on his show many times. Luke, if you ever want to do a collab, send me a text. We're going to do it. 100% I'm in. Love to do work with Luke, Mr. Chael Sonnen, Brandon Schaub, Joe Rogan. I'm a big fan of all these guys. These guys are the best. Make sure you tune in onto their channel. Subscribe. Guys, don't forget to check out Steven Wonderboy Thompson's got a new channel. It's awesome. You must subscribe to this channel. I also like Teach Me Grappling by Brian Peterson. Check out his channel. I love what's going on the YouTube, the MMA community, the Jiu-Jitsu community, the wrestling community. Keep it up. I really support all those channels. So yes, I would do a collab. You're asking me about Ryan Hall, Regular Dude. I don't talk about the fighters I train on this channel, but stay tuned. There's going to be some exciting matchups for sure. He's in the top 15. Tristar is now working with 3 top 15 fighters in the 145 division. Arnold Allen, Mirzad Bektik, and Ryan Hall. All those 3 guys, and soon to be in the top 15, Gavin Tucker. All these guys, but I can't talk about them on the show because I don't put their info on this channel. This is a zero spy channel. Okay, there's zero ability to get to see what's in the Tristar Gym. Guys, if you want to train in the Tristar Gym, make sure you check out tsdorms. I gotta put up their logo, their emails in the description. tsdorms@gmail.com. People from all over the world are training at Tristar Gym all the time. Come check out our dorms. Train. I am there every day. GSP is there all the time. We are training around the clock. Professionals all the time. We keep it super affordable for guys to come in from all over the world to train. We are all about that training, making the practice room great. With that said, I feel a little bit funny about ending it on that note, so I will take one more. Let's do one more here and end it on a fun note. We got another super chat here. You crazy guys in your super chat? No, that's not a super chat. Best MMA analyst in the world, tied with Joe Rogan. Oh, thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. What else we got here? Why did Tyrone Woodley leave Duke Rufus camp? That's from Global. No, he has not left the Duke Rufus camp. He's talking about training with me and George. We do plan on training together. I've trained with him in the past. Tyrone now, we've worked together a couple of times. He is not leaving Duke Rufus. Duke Rufus is a tremendous trainer. I don't think any fighter would leave that gym. He's a super competent trainer. He's one of the best in the world. No, we're just doing like a collab together. We're just going to work out together. It's not he's got his place with Duke. You know, Duke's a great guy. And he knows what he's doing. We're just kind of working together, guys. We got together in Vegas. We're trained together. We enjoyed it. We liked each other's company. We hang out together. I was hanging out with Duke in Newark. Me, him, and George chit-chatting, hanging out. We were in the locker room together. We both had fighters on the card. We love Duke, man. Duke is great. And we just get along. That's it. We just get along. Why not train together? Just have some fun. Did Pettis embarrass himself? That's from Adi Hussein. No, not at all. Not at all. Listen, he went out there and he fought one of the best fighters in the world and didn't go his way that day. But that's what you get when you fight, man. It's just part of the game. Diaz has had his losses. The man has 11 losses, if I remember correctly. But he toughed it out, and it's that kind of thinking. Oh, I embarrassed that'll ruin your career. You got to try and try again, and you think you're gonna become successful without losing, without messing up, without getting beat up every so often. Believe you me, in the UFC, you never get easy fight. It's always a tough fight. It's not like boxing where they give you 10 cans and then they give you one mega fight. Pettis fought one of the best in the world. It didn't go his way, but he's a phenomenal fighter. He's a great fighter. He's a legend of the sport. He's a former champion. There's nothing he can do. He could lose 10 fights in a row. He'll still be one of the greatest ever. He did not embarrass himself. He just came up short. He's going to go back to the drawing board. He's going to come back. He's going to have big wins. The guy is a brilliant martial artist. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. There are so many great fighters in the game. And that is the risk they take. Fighters take that risk. Anybody can lose and have a bad night and come back. And he's done it time and time again. He'll do it again. It was just a bad night for him. He could have had a great night. It could have been a great night. But it just didn't go that way. There's some strategic problems, some strategic errors maybe. And he's going to learn from it. He's going to come back. The guy's a phenomenal fighter. The things he's done in his career are incredible. Plus, they don't call him Showtime for nothing. The guy has done things in the octagon that nobody has ever matched, ever. Jumping off the fence at the last minute with a flying kick. Like these maneuvers are going to be there forever. No, he's not embarrassed himself. He's a brilliant guy. And in my opinion, you got to shed that kind of thinking. When you want to be successful, get ready for failure. You got to overcome it. You got to walk through it. You got to get up in the next day and you got to keep marching towards your goal. And yes, you're going to get cut down. Yes, you're going to get beat up every so often. Listen, there was a time where I used to see George get his ass kicked on a regular basis. When we were young, when we were kids, he was not the greatest guy, fighter, martial artist in the world. He'd come on the mat. He was a blue belt. He was like everybody else. The black belts would crush him. The black belts would crush all of us. I've seen George take many beatings. Not today. Today he's a black belt. Nobody gives him a beating today. Now it's so rare he'll lose a round or somebody will score on him. But I remember the times where me and him used to get crushed. Like when we were going to, especially when we were going to New York. We were not good. Anytime you see somebody who's really, really good, even Khabib. Look at Khabib, for instance. Such an inspiring fighter. He's, I believe, 26-0 or 27-0. Never lost. But do you think when Khabib was young, when he was like 15, 16, he didn't get his fair share of beatings? Yes, his beatings were not public. But I guarantee you he's been beaten down a countless amount of times to the point where he goes to practice. If he got beat up, it didn't matter to him. It didn't even it's just another day of another beating. Like I always watch my son, my youngest son, Ayman. I have my brother, my oldest son, Noah. and Ayman. They're 2 years apart. And Noah's always kicking Ayman's butt. It's rare. Once in a while, Ayman will get a score on him. But it's always Noah just kind of like beating him down. And then they wrestle the next day, and Noah just score. And Ayman's just like, he's always here. Once in a while, Ayman will flip it. Like, he'll score big, and then it'll go back to this. He's 2 years younger, but I'll tell you something. The way he takes his beatings makes me think this kid's going to go so far. Because he doesn't even care when he gets swept or choked or put on the mat. It doesn't even faze him in the least. He just keeps coming back. That kind of attitude, that kind of mindset, when you've been beaten so many times, you don't even realize it anymore. Like, to you, it's nothing. Failure is nothing. That's just a stumbling block. I still marching forward. Once you develop that type of mentality, you're a very difficult individual to stop. Like, success is almost inevitable. That's why, like, when I look at my son, I look up to him for that, because, man, he could take a beating. I put him with older kids like 2-3 years older than him. He doesn't complain one bit. If he gets thrown off the mat, doesn't complain, not even a word. Just try again. He's got that mentality. That's so, like, after training people for so many years, I've learned to look for that kind of mentality. I remember my son Noah picking up Ayman in a double leg, and Ayman's like, I got this guy. Like, my son Ayman talks a lot of smack. I don't know where he gets it, guys. I don't know where he gets it. He talks a lot of smack, and he'll get beat up, and he's just yapping away. Sometimes I gotta tell him to shut up. And he'll be like, he got picked up. He's about to get slammed. He's like, I got this. Easy peasy, he tells me. Easy peasy. Watch this, Pop. Watch this. And sometimes he does. Sometimes he does flip the tables where he's very good. Like, I don't want to make it sound like he never scores on Noah. He does every so often, but I would say it's 80-20. He's a very competent wrestler, grappler. He'll flip the tables on him. But most kids who take a beating at that level every day, I know I'm coming home and I got to wrestle, I got to jiu-jitsu, and I got to take a beating again today. Psychologically, that's too much for most people. Psychologically, I've noticed it's too much for people. That's why I would probably ease off if I felt it was hurting him psychologically, but it's not. He actually enjoys it. He escalates, the talk escalates. And I catch him, I think, I'll tell you where he's probably learned to talk at the gym, because I bring him to the gym and they train in an adult class, even though they're very young. And they joke around with the adults, because the adults will obviously tease them. I tease them sometimes, because they're young, and they kind of talk back, and there's a back and forth, there's a play. And because it's a play, we enjoy it. And even though there's a winning and losing going on the mat, we don't really care. And I think that's the key, that's the secret. Now, Pettis has gotten to where he's gotten because he can overcome setbacks. But I highly, highly recommend you don't describe it as something as embarrassing. That is not embarrassing, man. If you could switch, are you as successful as Anthony Pettis? That's my question. That is a highly successful human being. In MMA, and I'm sure outside of MMA, I bet you outside of MMA, he's very smart as well. It just strikes me as a very intelligent individual, because he wouldn't have gotten that far if he wasn't. In my opinion, he would not have gotten that far if he wasn't. Same goes for Nathan Diaz. Nathan Diaz had many losses, many key heartbreaking losses. And then he came back to beat McGregor, arguably one of the greatest fighters of all time. A 2-division champ. He came back to beat McGregor. Well, albeit he beat him before McGregor became a 2-division champ, if I remember correctly. But he still beat McGregor. He has a win over McGregor, and the second fight was neck and neck. Now you tell me how a guy with 11 losses fights a 2-division champ, and the fight is neck and neck, and he has actually a win over him, and then the second fight is like really controversial. That's my question to you. How does that happen? Well, I'll tell you how it happens. It's a guy who has a will, an iron will that will never give up. And when you see that kind of iron will, you should admire it and replicate it, and you should follow suit. You should follow suit. Okay, guys, with that said, I'm going to thank you all for tuning in. I had a great time as usual, and I will see you all